Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then just welcome, and I'm super happy to have you here. On my channel you can find a lot of crochet tutorials which are usually or always super beginner friendly, so I'm always making sure that I'm going into as much details as I can with every single step. And besides, from time to time I'm also posting some recipe and some review videos, but this time it's again going to be another crochet tutorial, and this time I'm going to teach you how to make this super cute and beautiful starburst granny square. So as I mentioned before, this one is also going to be super beginner friendly to ensure that everyone is able to replicate it. Normally all of my videos are right-handed, but it was actually suggested by one of my followers that I could just flip the video so it's other way around, and therefore this version will be suited for left-handed people. So that's something that I'm just testing out for this one, and I really hope that it's going to be helpful. But now, without further ado, let's jump into it. Here are the materials that I'm going to use for this project. Here I have 4 different colors of 4-ply cotton yarn, and here are some more specs just in case if you want to know more about this yarn and about this brand as well. Of course, you will also need a crochet hook. For this project I'm going to use 5mm hook, and you will also need scissors. So now let's jump into it. First, I will be starting with this lighter blue color, and our first step will be to do a magic ring. So for that, I'm basically grabbing yarn like this and then tying it around my fingers to establish an X shape here. And then I'm grabbing my crochet hook and going underneath the first piece of yarn here like that. And then with my hook, I'm grabbing the second piece of yarn and pulling it through to establish a loop on the hook like this. So now we have created a magic ring, and we kind of have to make a secure loop. So for that we are going to chain 1. So what you have to do is yarn over and then pull the yarn through the loop that you already have on your hook like this. So now we have created a magic ring, and we have also secured it with 1 chain. After that, our next step is to do 2 more chains, so 1 and 2, and now in total we basically have 3 chains here, and in this case this is going to count as 1 double crochet, so just keep that in mind. And now we can proceed further with doing round 1, and for that we will have to do 15 double crochets, and all of them will have to come in here inside the magic ring. And with 15 double crochets plus the chain of 3 that we have here in the very beginning, in total we will have 16 stitches once we are done with this round. So now let's get started with double crochets. So to do a double crochet you have to yarn over and then go through the magic ring like this, grab yarn and pull it through to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops like this, and then yarn over again and pull through remaining 2 loops like that. So this is 1 double crochet, and this is how you do it. So in total, as I mentioned, you will have to do 15 double crochets inside this magic ring, and so just keep on doing that, and let's do another one together. So first you're yarning over, then going through the magic ring, grabbing yarn and pulling it up to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarning over and going through 2, yarning over again and pulling through 2 again like that. So here we have 2 double crochets already. So just keep on doing that until you have created 15 double crochets in total. And just keep in mind that all of these double crochet stitches have to go over both pieces of yarn that we have here, and in case you're running out of this second piece of yarn, then just feel free to pull it to kind of have more of it. So just do that and make sure that all double crochets are on top of both pieces of yarn. So just keep on creating double crochets after that, and I will meet you back again once we have done 15 double crochets in total, plus with the chain of 3 we have 16 stitches in total. Here I have done all 15 double crochets, and now we have 16 stitches in total with this chain of 3 in the very beginning. And now we can basically connect this round, but the first step that we have to do is actually close this magic ring. And to do that, all you have to do is just pull this loose piece of yarn that we have here, and as you are pulling it, you can see that the ring is closing and we are establishing a nice and round shape. So now what we can do is just that we can connect this round, and to do that we will be using slip stitch. So to do a slip stitch, you basically have to go through a stitch where you want to do the slip stitch in, and in this case I will be doing that inside this third chain from the very beginning. So I'm just going through that with my crochet hook, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through to kind of have 2 loops on your hook. And then the piece of yarn that you just pulled through, you also pull it through the loop that you already had on your hook initially. So as you can see, we now have only 1 loop on our hook, and we have also connected this round in a nice and round smooth shape. So now we are actually done with this color and also done with this round, so we can fasten off. And for that you just have to chain 1 like this, then make the loop a little bit longer, and then we can grab our scissors and just cut this yarn off like this. And as it's cut off, we can just pull this piece of yarn here, and as we are pulling, it tightens in a secure knot. So as you can see, we have now finalized this first round, and we are also done with this color. So now we can continue with the second round, and for that I'm going to use this light purple color. And our first step is to basically attach yarn to the first round, and to do that I will basically be going through a random stitch from the first round with my crochet hook like this, and then just grabbing this new color and pulling it through the stitch, and then just tightening it in a secure knot like this, like that. So now this new color is attached, and we can keep on doing stitches for the second round. And for this round, to get it started, we just have to pull up a loop like this, and then our first step is to just chain 2, so 1 and 2, and this chain of 2 is going to help us to get started with the following stitches. And that's basically the process in the beginning of most of the granny squares when you are doing a new round. So throughout this round we will be working puff stitches into every single stitch, and for the first stitch, since we already have this chain of 2 in the very beginning, it's going to be a little bit different, or the puff stitch will be a little bit smaller. However, the principle will kind of stay the same. So to do a puff stitch, for the first one we will do it twice. So for that you have to yarn over and then go through the stitch like this, then grab yarn and pull it up and kind of extend this last loop so it looks like this. So this is one part of this first puff stitch, and then we just have to repeat it for 1 more time. So yarning over, going through the stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it up and extending it a little bit. So now we are done with these loops for the very first puff stitch, and in total on our hook we should have 5 loops now. And then we can finalize this stitch, and to do that we have to yarn over and then go through all the loops that we had on our hook. So I'm just going through them like this, and our first puff stitch is finalized here. And after that we just have to chain 1 like that, and then we can move further with the next stitch. And for that we are basically going to do the same, apart from the thing that we will actually do these stitches or these loops 3 times. So let's do it together. So yarning over and then going through this stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it up. So this is 1, then doing it for the second time like this, and then 1 more third time like that. So now we have in total 7 loops on our hook. And then again, our process is the same. We just have to yarn over and then go through all the loops that we have here, like that. So now we have completed another puff stitch, and after that again we are just chaining 1. So this is the process how you are doing puff stitches. So you just have to keep on doing them all the way around every single stitch that we have from this previous round. So in total at the end you should have 16 puff stitches, and after each of them you are supposed to chain one. But let's do another one together, just so you kind of memorize it better. So yarning over, going through the stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling up, yarning over for the second time and going through the stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling up again, and then the same thing also for the third time. So we have 7 loops on our hook, and then we are just yarning over and going through all the loops that we had on our hook, like that. Another puff stitch is finalized, and chaining one, and then we can proceed with the next one. So just repeat on doing this throughout this round, and I will meet you back again once we are at the very end and we have to connect this round. So just keep on doing these stitches and I will meet you back in a bit. And as I'm doing these stitches, you can also see that I'm hiding this loose piece underneath the stitches, so it's not hanging down here and I don't have to worry about weaving in it at the very end. So it kind of saves me time at the very end since I don't have to do it. But what I do is basically I just keep it here, and then all the stitches that I'm doing, they are covering this piece of yarn already as I go, and it becomes hidden underneath, as you can see, and it saves me quite a lot of time since I don't have to worry about it later. So as you can see, I just hide it as I go. So this is a super useful tip, just in case if you're not sure what to do with these loose pieces of yarn that you have. So here I have finalized all the puff stitches that had to be done for the second round, and in total I have 16 of them. So now it's just last steps for me to do. So first I have to chain one, and now we can connect this round. And in this case I will be going through this second chain from the very beginning and doing a slip stitch in there. So just going through this chain with my hook, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through, and then pulling the same piece of yarn through the loop that I already had, like that. So now we have connected this round and we are done with this color. So for that I'm just chaining one like this, then grabbing my scissors and cutting off the yarn, and as it's cut off we can tighten it just by pulling like this, and it creates a secure knot. So now we are done with this second round as well. Now we can continue with the third round, and for that I'm going to use this darker purple color. And our first step is basically to attach the yarn to the previous round, and in this case we are going to do it in between the puff stitches that we have from the second round. And again we will do it in a random place, so wherever you want, just go through with your hook, then grab yarn and pull it through, and then just tighten it in a secure knot like this. So now the yarn is attached and we can proceed with the third round. Again, our first step is to pull up a loop like this, and then we just have to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3. And throughout this round we will be doing clusters of double crochets, and for the first piece here, since we already have a chain of 3, we will be doing 3 clusters of double crochet, but in the following parts we will have 4 clusters or 4 double crochet clusters. And for that what we have to do is that we basically have to create unfinished double crochets within one stitch. So let's do that. So you normally just yarn over for your double crochet, then go through the stitch or place where you are, grab yarn and pull it up to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through 2. And in this case, this is where we are stopping, and we are only completing it halfway through. So now we have completed one unfinished double crochet for this cluster, and for this very first stitch we have to do 2 more. So yarning over, going through the stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it up, yarning over and going through the very first loops. So now we have 2 unfinished double crochets, and just doing it for the 3rd time as well, like this. So for this first cluster we have 3 unfinished double crochets plus chain of 3, and in total we have 4 loops on our hook. And for the first one we can finish off, so now we are just yarning over and going through all 4 loops like this, and this counts as one double crochet cluster here. And after that we just have to chain 2, so 1 and 2 like this, and now we can move further with the next one. So in the next one, as well as all of the following ones, we will have to do 4 double crochet clusters. So for that we basically just have to do 4 unfinished double crochets together and then just connect it in 1 stitch. So let's get started on that. I'm just yarning over and doing a double crochet, but only finishing it halfway through like this. So that was the first one. Then adding another one, this is 2, working on the 3rd one like this, and then the last 4th one as well. So now I have created 4 unfinished double crochets, and we have 5 loops in total on the hook. So now we can finish this stitch and connect it into 1 cluster. So for that I'm just yarning over and pulling through all the loops like this. So our cluster of 4 double crochets is now connected, and after that again we are just chaining 2, and then we can proceed with the next one. So let's do another one together, otherwise the process is the same for all of the remaining gaps here in between the puff stitches from the previous round. So just proceed doing that. So working on unfinished double crochets, that's the first one, adding the second one, then doing the 3rd one, and all of them are only completed with first yarn over, and also finalizing the 4th one. So 4 unfinished double crochets, then yarning over and going through all the loops that I had on my hook like this, and after that just chaining 2. So this is how it looks so far. So just keep on doing these clusters all the way around, and I will meet you back again once we have to connect this round. And here again, as I have reached this loose piece of yarn from the previous round, I'm just trying to hide it underneath the stitches that I'm creating at the moment to make sure that I don't have to do it later on. So just keep that in mind to do it as well, so you can save up some time at the very end. Here I'm done with the very last cluster, so once that's done we just have to chain 2 as we would normally do, and now we can actually connect this round as well. And as just done before, we will just use a slip stitch, and in this case we will go through the 3rd chain from the very beginning of this round. So just going through this chain with our hook, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through, and then pulling it through the loop that we already had on our hook like this. So now this round is connected, and we are also done with this color, so we can just chain 1, make this loop a little bit longer, then grabbing our scissors and cutting off, and again just tightening in a secure knot just by pulling this loose piece of yarn. So now we are also done with the 3rd round here. Now we can continue with the 4th round, and for that I'm going to use this blue color, and with this round we will also create a square shape. So our first step, as usual, is to attach yarn to the previous round, and we can do it in a random gap here from the previous round in between these clusters. So just attach the yarn wherever you would like, just by pulling it through and then tightening in a secure knot like this. And now we can get started. So first we will be starting by doing a corner, and for that we just have to pull up yarn and pull up a loop like this, and we can get started. So this will be the first corner of our granny square, and our first step is to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this chain of 4 is going to count as 1 treble crochet, so just keep that in mind. And in the corners we will always do treble crochets. So to do a treble crochet you have to yarn over twice, so 1 and 2, then go through this gap here and grab yarn and pull it up to have 4 loops on your hook, and then just yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over again and pull through the next 2, and then yarn over for the last time and pull through remaining 2. So this is 1 treble crochet, and for this part of corner we in total have to do 3 treble crochets. So since we have this chain of 4 that counts as treble crochet and 1 already made, this basically counts as 2, and we just have to do 1 more to have 3. So again, just yarning over, going through this gap, grabbing yarn and pulling it up to have 4 loops, then yarning over and pulling through 2, yarning over and pulling through another 2, yarning over and pulling through remaining 2. So this creates basically 3 treble crochets in total, and that counts as half of the corner. So once that's done, we just have to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and this chain of 3 helps our corner to turn. So after that we just have to do another 3 treble crochets inside this same space. So again, let's do that. So yarning over twice and then proceeding with pulling the yarn through pairs of 2. So this is 1 treble crochet and adding 1 more. So this is 2 in total, and then just doing the last third one like this. So with these stitches we have now created our first corner, and after that we can move further with the next gap. And in this one we are going to do 3 double crochets. So this stitch you already know, so just yarn over once and then go through the stitch, grab yarn and pull it up to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So this is 1, and then just adding 2 more to have 3 in total like this. So here we have created 3 treble crochets, and then in the next gap that we have here we have to do 3 half double crochets. So for that you have to yarn over, then go through this gap, grab yarn and pull it up to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops like this. So this is 1 half double crochet. So let's do another one together. So yarning over, going through the gap, grabbing yarn and pulling it up to have 3 loops, yarning over and pulling through all 3 of them. So these are 2 half double crochets, and just doing 1 more to have 3 in total like this. So this is how it looks so far, and now we have basically completed half of this side of the square, and what we have to do is just to mirror all the stitches on the other side. So this is the middle point, so now we just have to repeat these 2. So first we have to do 3 double crochets in the next. So I'm just already working on these. This is the second one, and then adding the third one again. So this is how it looks, and after this now we have to create another corner like that. So that's basically 3 treble crochets, chain of 3 and another 3 treble crochets. So let's do that together. So I'm starting with the treble crochets, and for each of them, as you know, we first have to yarn over twice and then pull through pairs of 2. So I have already prepared one, and this is the second one, and then adding the third one as well like this. So here we have 3,
and after that we are just chaining 3, so 1, 2 and 3, and then adding 3 more treble crochets in the same space, so the same that we did already before. So this is the first, then adding 1 more, and then also just adding the last third one, like that. So now we have also finalized the second corner, and this is how one side of this square looks like. So all you have to do is just keep on repeating these stitches that you have here. So in the next place we have 3 double crochets, then 3 half double crochets, 3 double crochets again, and then corner, and then again repeating 3 double crochets, 3 half double crochets, 3 double crochets and corner, and then just the last ones are 3 double crochets, 3 half double crochets and 3 double crochets again. So just keep on doing these stitches all the way around, and I will meet you back again once we are finalizing and connecting this round. In case I didn't mention it before, make sure that you have 16 of these puff stitches, 16 of these clusters here from the round 3, and therefore also 16 places where you have to add stitches on the round 4. So now we are almost done with this round 4. It's just left for me to do the final 3 double crochets together in this same gap. So I already have 2 and just adding the final third one like this. So now we have finalized this round. It's just that it's left for us to actually connect it together. And in this case, again, we will be doing a slip stitch, and we will do it here in the 4th chain from the very beginning. So I'm just going through this 4th chain with my crochet hook like this, grabbing yarn, pulling it through, and then pulling it through the loop that we already had on our hook like this. So now this round is actually connected, and we are also done with this granny square. So now we can just chain 1, make the loop longer, then grabbing our scissors and cutting it off, and then just tightening by pulling this loose piece of yarn like this, and it creates a secure knot. And now we are also done with our starburst granny square, and this is how it looks, and I think it's super cute. So in case you are wondering about the size, I'm just going to measure it in a second, and it is approximately 12 centimeters. And from both sides it is the same. So this is the size that how it looks. And if you feel like this size is too small, you are more than welcome to add extra rounds to make it bigger. And for the next round, since we already have a square shape, you would basically have to do the same stitch inside every gap. So you could do 3 double crochets in all these gaps, as well as in the corner, or you could do 1 double crochet on top of every single stitch, and the same up until here, and then in the corners you would have to do 2 double crochets, chain of 3 and 2 double crochets. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, this is how this square looks like, and feel free to make multiple of them, connect them together and create some fun creations such as scarves, cardigans, tops, blankets, or anything that you can come up with. And I hope that you will have fun with this project, and I'm sure that I will also create something fun with these squares, and I will make a pattern or tutorial later.
So that is basically it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that this tutorial is going to be useful for you in case you are learning how to do your own starburst granny squares, as well as planning to make some bigger projects where you have to use granny squares. So here I have actually prepared a bunch of them, so stay tuned for another tutorial where I will be using them to create something bigger, like a bigger crochet creation. So I'm super excited about that as well. However, if you did enjoy this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. And if you're new here, please subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!